Hello everybody and welcome back once again to Let's Play Sorcery! In the last session, as we left off, we were here in this backwater village of Canto Pani where we were swindled for most of our gold as we rather foolishly bought a block of ice believing it to be some kind of lucrative gem. We also bought a bamboo flute, and I couldn't explain why my character had the sudden urge to buy a bamboo flute, but it's a good job he did. Perhaps he paid more attention to the spell book than I did. Because here is a spell called Jig that requires a bamboo flute. And when cast, we play a tune and have our enemies dance to it. They carry out a merry jig as we play along, giving us time to escape or exhausting the creature. And there are a variety of other items that are required to cast these spells. Green wigs, to name one of the more bizarre ones. Troll teeth, goblin teeth, giant teeth, grains of sand, coin, blackened mirrors. There's all kinds of different things. I haven't memorised them all, but I've got a few in my head that some of the stuff that we may need. So if we stumble across these in our travels, we'll have to scoop them up because they could come in handy. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm going to be talking for about 5 minutes here, bear with me. Our character apparently doesn't get named as we continue our journey, and I think we need to personalise it a little bit. We need to give our character a name. So when I was streaming on Tuesday, Kingdom Come Deliverance, we had a bit of a situation where I asked the viewers to suggest some names, and wasn't suggested, but I've taken a bit of a combination of two different names and merged them together. Somebody suggested the name Friedrich, which I quite liked, and then I was one that suggested, but other people kind of agreed that maybe we should call him Henry after the character in Kingdom Come Deliverance. So I combined the two names and I'm calling him Heinrich. So this is our character Heinrich, and I'll probably refer to him by name whenever possible. See how long he stays alive. So everybody say hello to our adventurer. And the final thing, I am playing this completely blind. I never heard of this game before. Suffice to say, I never heard of the original book series. Did a little bit of research after the last session, mainly to find out if I could download a copy of the spells so that I could memorise them off camera, you know, at lunch break in work, or when I've got some downtime, can just bring it up on my phone and maybe learn a spell or two. And I actually found out that this game is based on a real-life adventure book series. Sorcery volumes 1 to 4 are out there in paper form. And this is just as the early Amstrads and such were coming into fashion, coming into existence. This is almost predating computer games, and therefore, I found actually a PDF version of the original spell book, not the adventure books themselves, but the original spell book, which was published in 1983. So, if you are interested in this game, you think, oh, this looks like a pretty decent decent affair. It's actually based on a real-life book series. So if you like adventure books and a bit of, pen and paper type stuff, doing things, hard copy, they're probably out there somewhere. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Okay. So I think that's introductions done. I don't apologise. And I suppose one very, very, very last thing. I don't think we can see it on the map, but I've been calling it the... I can't remember. I'll have to see if it crops up again, but it was Shumatani, I think it was, or Shumatani or whatever, the Shumatani Hills or something. It's actually Shumatanti. There's a T in there. I've completely missed that in the entire first session when it cropped up. So yeah, bit of a mispronunciation. But anyway, it is time for us to head on out past Canto Pani. And before I do, just want to try and see if I can bring up a spell. Can't remember what it was, but there is a spell that allows you to pick the right path. If there's a split path situation, casting this spell gives you almost like a sixth sense to pick the less dangerous path. Yeah, there you go. How? Only costs 1 stamina, nothing required. Well, this spell can be used in perilous situations when information about the safest way of escape is desired. Perhaps that's reserved for dungeons. Anyway, introduction's over. Let's get cracking. Passing the outlying huts, you feel strangely uneasy. Hissings from within and sly faces disappearing from doorways make you feel decidedly unwelcome. Then, at the edge of town, you pass a large boulder, and at once 2 rough-cut villagers spring out with swords drawn. Bandits. 2 against 1, the first declares. You're lost, calls the other. So hand over your things. Come on. Now our character is going to try and reason with them. There's no reasoning when you're outnumbered, I suppose, and these people are probably beyond sense. But we're going to give them one chance. You know, we're fresh from our training, spellbook in hand. We're probably feeling quite confident that we can dispatch of these curs, but we're going to give them a chance to right their wrongs. You don't want any trouble, Heinrich declares. The first bandit edges forward, a sword tickling at your chest. Running you through? No trouble at all. The pack. Okay. Well, we ain't handing over our pack. No siree. So that means we're going to get into our first proper fight. We're going to defend ourselves. You draw yourself to your full height. You have mistaken me for someone else, you declare. You will suffer for that mistake. The bandits growl and advance on you, 1 on either hand. So we have an option to fight, and we also have an option to cast a spell. And seeing as we've just picked up a flute, I really want to make one of them dance a jig. So let's cast a spell. If we can make them cast a jig. Now I have my spell book open on another one of my monitors here. So we have an F or a J available as a first letter. So we either can cast, we could cast maybe Forth, which is a force field. Yeah, we could cast Forth. We could cast Law, which enables us to control a creature, which would be pretty useful because we could control one bandit to go against the other. Perhaps we'll save Jig for a situation where it's maybe just 1-on-1. Perhaps I think Law would be better here, just because it would turn the tables 2-on-1 to our side. So we're going to pick the L, we're going to pick the A, we're going to pick the W, we're going to cast Law. It says non-intelligent creatures. Perhaps a humanoid is probably intelligent? What do we think? Then again, if they're attacking us, 2 stupid bandits, we could argue they're probably not intelligent. Oh, let me read the description just to make sure here. Only works on non-intelligent. I don't think it's going to work on a humanoid creature. I'm changing my mind here. I'm going to make one of them dance a jig. Here we go. causes lively dancing. Jig! Jiggery pokery! You pull out the bamboo flute from your bag, raise the spell, and begin to play a merry tune. The angry faces of the bandits turn to expressions of astonishment as they find their limbs jerking in time to the music, quite out of control. Their swords fly from their hands, and they are soon dancing merrily around you. I wonder if we're playing Riverdance. Lead them back to the village. Lead them to the nearest pit in the ground. Now, I think our character, from what, as I said in the very first session, it's going to be a very dynamic situation in terms of how we develop him as a character. I have no preconceived sort of personalities with him like I do some of my other characters in my RPGs. Just going to see what happens. Now, we know he's going to be very slow to trust, and he's going to be on his guard when meeting strangers now as a result of the ice situation. But he's not inherently a bad person, and I don't think, the feeling I'm getting right now is they're dancing a merry jig, they're two bandits, they're idiots. Yes, they probably would have killed us had they had a chance, but we're not going to lower ourselves to their standards. We're going to lead them back to the village, and let the villagers take care of business. Piping loudly, like the Pied Piper of what was that? The Pied Piper of Hamlin? The old story. Anyway, we're piping loudly. You direct the two bandits back to the village, and as they dance away, you continue your journey. About half an hour later, you reach the start of the climb into the hills proper and continue upwards. That's cool. That is cool. I like that. I enjoyed that. If we didn't cast a spell and fought them, we'd have probably had a battle, but this is far more fun. And if you can't already tell, I'm going to try and ensure that Heinrich is predominantly, where possible, a spellcaster. What a surprise. Climb the hill. Leaving Cantipani behind marks the true start of the wilderness. Beyond that tiny outpost, there are scattered homesteads, and Carre, a thriving city port, but all are touched by cruelty, isolation and fear. The backlands and the long shadow cast by Mampang Fortress darken everything. And with the crown gone, things can only grow worse. In the long years since Chalana the Reformer founded the Alliance, the crown has been passed from kingdom to kingdom every 4 years, ensuring each one has its turn to lead, but no more. Ruddlestone, Lenderland, Galantaria and Bryce have all enjoyed its power, but not Annaland. Because it was stolen by birdmen from Zaman and carried off to Mampang. With the crown, the Archmage will be unstoppably powerful. There is no chance of sending an army against him. A military force would not survive the journey. So here you are, a lone hero, little old Heinrich, walking the long path to Mampang alone. 5 minutes later you reach a fork in the road. This is just as the villager described, so at least your coins were not wasted. The only thing is, our conversation with him was in the last session, and I can't remember what he said. It would be handy if he had a journal. Perhaps I should have researched what he said before starting today's session. Well, we're going to test your memory banks. A fork in the road. We could always cast a spell and see if we have an option to cast how. The road splits around the base of a gigantic tree, but does not rejoin on the other side. The left path winds down into a valley, and the right rises up a slope towards the first thick forest of the hills. We look to the left. There's a river there, and the path follows the left bank. It is a safer route, secluded and protected, but the curve of the landscape would mean you are almost backtracking. We turn to the right. It's hard to see much further uphill. The forest is sudden and thick, and the path narrow. It may be hard going in that direction, but the hills will involve a lot of climbing eventually, and you may get a decent view of the next leg from the top of the ridge. You're about to make your choice when you hear a faint cry from somewhere close at hand. A trap? Ignore it? I think Heinrich's a bit of a curious fellow. And he's going to take a look around. You look around, and finally, up in the branches of a tree, a pair of wizened, calloused feet are dangling down over your head. About to drop on you, perhaps. Calling out to whoever owns those legs. "Who's there?" you call. The voice cries again, a little more boldly this time. "Up here! Help! Help! I can't get down!" It is the voice of a feeble, wiry old man. Stepping back a little, you can see him clearly, as thin as sticks and dressed in dirt rags. Help him down? Well, slow to trust. He's curious but cautious. What are you hiding from? How the old man got up the tree is a puzzle. He must have been escaping someone fearsome to climb so high. "What are you hiding from?" you cry. "Damned Elvins," he replies. "I were travelling from Dumpus to the outpost settlement in Adelan, but I were waylaid by Elvins, robbed me blind, all but took my eyes, and left me up the tree. I keep getting older, you see. We all do, but some worse than others. Climbed up, but now I'm too old to get down." Oh, here we go. Here we go. Well, he's not selling anything. And he's an old man. It's the worst that could happen. Swinging yourself onto the lowest branch of the tree, you reach up and grab the old man by the waist. He's as light as a leaf. Within a moment, you have lifted him to the ground. "Thanks for that," he remarks, brushing himself down and almost knocking himself over in the process. "I was just starting to get a bit, perturbed. But I'm on the safe now." He seems remarkably confident, considering that the slightest stumble might break him into bits. "And what will you do now?" you ask. "Keep going for Annaland," he says. "That's where I set off from, a while back now. You wouldn't believe the story if I told you. Suffice to say, though, if I know my eyes from my eyes, you're heading out to Mampang, and you'd better be smarter than I was. And here." He presses a page into your hand. It is a page torn from a spell book. "This might be of some use to you. I found this, just found it, mind. And don't go asking how, but it's no good to me anymore." Take a look at the page. You look the page over suspiciously. It seems to be half a spell that might have been used for pest repulsion, but it is unworkable in its current state. "Well, never look a gift horse or a gift page in the mouth. We shall keep it." We take the page and thank him. The man falls quiet and squats down on the ground. With his jabbering done, you hear a buzzing sound from high up in the tree. A beehive. Perhaps we'll leave the beehive alone. Oh, no! Wait a second. Memory bank's coming into the fore here. Spellbook time. One of our, well, no, I think more than one of our spells requires beeswax. Can't remember which one it is. I've got my spellbook at the side of me here, but I'm not going to rifle through it now. I do know that definitely one of them does need beeswax, so we are going to climb up and investigate to try to nab some. Leaving the old man sighing with gratitude on the ground, you climb up through the branches of the tall tree. Indeed we do. The beehive hangs like a ripe fruit from the very highest branch. A huge number of bees dance in and out in a swarm. Use magic? Climb higher, give up. What spell could we possibly use here? To do anything with anything to do with getting rid of bees. Let me have a quick look. Let me refresh my memory here. I mean, you can actually use magic, and I think you can back out. So if we use magic, cast a spell. What spell could we cast that might assist us here? So we've got LDB. LDB. Or a Z. Or a Z. Depends where you come from. Law. Could we control bees? Do you reckon we can control bees? So that they don't sting us. Should we try it? You cast the spell. Concentrating on the swarm that surrounds the beehive, you feel your mind taking control of theirs. Several hundred small consciousnesses falling under your will. You lead them like a general directing an army away from the hive, allowing you to clamber up and relieve them of a succulent honeycomb and a nice ball of beeswax. That's a nice trick, the old man remarks. You stash your finds in your pack. The light is fading, it's time to move on. Oh! The man cries suddenly. Do you want to hear me riddle? I heard it from the Elvins. Yes, why not? You gesture with a hand for him to speak. See him though he sees you not. A stinging beast in a box not left. To guard a key, it is his lot. To jail a witch of luck bereft. You thank him, you nod once, and you turn your attention to the path ahead. See him though he sees you not. A stinging beast in a box not left. To guard a key, it is his lot. To jail a witch of luck bereft. Not a clue. Not a clue. Anyway, we have the beeswax, another spell component. Well played, Heinrich, must be said. And I think we're going to take the low path. Longer, double backing, but safer. And I think our character likes safe, wherever he can help it. You head into the valley. It seems the safest route, secluded without providing an opportunity for ambush, and no matter how quickly darkness falls, the riverbank will guide your way. The man calls something after you about Elvins, but you ignore it. The path winds alongside a bubbling stream. You follow it, keeping to the west bank. The valley itself becomes narrow on either hand. A good spot for an ambush. You can only hope that nobody knows you are here. After an hour's walk, you begin to feel hungry. You'll need to eat at least once today to keep up your strength. You can stop and eat now, or we could continue walking. Now we bought... Did we not buy 2 rations? And we've now got 3 rations. I don't think the beeswax counts as a ration, does it? Did we actually get beeswax, or did we get something... I'm confused now. Did we get honey? Oh, I'll have to watch the session back later. It's confused me now. But I think we're going to stop and eat. I think we were at an ambush site, but then we've walked for another hour. So, seeing as we're hungry, might as well eat. Taking a seat on the grassy bank, above the water, you eat the sugary... Oh, it's a honeycomb. Ah, okay. Never mind. It served as a ration anyway. You rest for half an hour or so and then continue your journey. Oh, I thought we were onto a winner there, but then again, beeswax. How do you make bees? I think, is beeswax something that you would make? Is it a man-made product? Anyway, it is what it is. We've just engorged ourselves on sweet, succulent, sugary honeycomb. Freshly captured. Delightful. Into the valley deeper. The valley continues and you walk for many hours until the sun begins to set behind the bank and the air grows cool. Now will be the time to find and pitch camp if you intend to sleep, before darkness descends completely. But the moon will rise soon enough, and you could walk on through the night. Somewhere beyond this valley there are villages with real beds. Ooh, choices, choices. Do we make camp, or do we keep walking? Real beds versus traversing in the dark. Suppose camping in the dark. We could make a fire, but the fire will go out. We're gonna make camp. We're by a river. There's probably worse places to camp. And it's been a long day. After a little thought, indeed it was, you decide to stop. In the moonlight the river will turn black and the way will be hard to find. Better to sleep and set off early tomorrow. You find a group of rocks that form a natural hollow beside the bank of the stream and settle yourself inside, as comfortable as a rat in a hole. Before you decide to sleep, you check through your pack. You have 2 rations left. You've just eaten, so we shall just sleep. Yeah, 1 meal is plenty. You rest your head onto your pack and close your eyes. Eventually, you drift off to sleep, soothed by the babbling of the stream. But a short while later, you are awakened by a splashing noise. And if he's anything like me, old Heinrich, initially when you're startled by something or something's not quite right, my first instinct isn't to sit up and look, it's to stay still and try to figure out what the hell's happening before making my decision. Reasoning that you are well hidden by the rocks, you keep your breathing quiet and listen. Creatures, 2 or 3 of them, they are splashing in the stream, perhaps washing, perhaps throwing stones or catching fish. Creatures? Elven? Goblin? No rightful, friendly human is going to be out at this time of the night splashing and catching fish. We're going to stay low. You stay silent, listening closely. After a while they seem to tire of their game. The valley falls quiet and still once more. No, I think we stay alert at this point. We stay alert. It's too risky now to go back to sleep. You stay alert and hear the rustle as the creatures approach once more, coming down the bank of the valley behind you. You sit up sharply. They point and gabble excitedly to one another. One of them rises into the air and flies across the water to look at you more closely. You have never seen creatures like this before. Uh-oh. Strange creatures. Now there is a spell where we can talk to creatures or talk to animals that have foreign tongues, but we need a green wig. We don't have a green wig, so I don't think we're going to be able to speak. Now we could almost have a show of strength, but that might anger them, so we'll just try and converse. "Hail there, creature," you call out. The creature darts up higher into the air at your voice, and cautiously he approaches once more. "What am I? What are you? In our valley?" "A traveller," you declare. "On my way from one place to another, and meaning no harm." "Well then, traveller, will you join me and my companions?" Reluctantly, I think we are going to accept, if only to show them that we mean them no harm. "I will." You rise from your bower and cross to the bank of the river where the other creatures are. The creatures dance around you, nipping at your arms and splashing water at your legs. Playful things. They turn their glows on and off, making delightful flashing patterns one moment and plunging you into darkness the next, only to reappear suddenly in front of you to make you jump. It's a charming if somewhat threatening display, like the toothy smile of a tiger. After a while you suddenly realise they are gradually leading you down the river with their games, and away from the rocks where you have left your belongings. No, this is not good. Why have you left without your belongings, Heinrich? This is not very wise. We could turn back. You could ask them where we're going. Or let me show you something. It's in my bag, but I can't see my bag now. The elvins titter and giggle at their trick, but for all their mischief they are as curious as cats. This way, calls one, leading you back down the river. We'll find your bag and things right where you left them. You follow, pleased with your scheme until you are back by the rocks where your possessions are still all safe. The elvins gather round, keen to see what you have for them. Give them the jewel. What, you mean the ice? The jewel that melted? Thinking on your feet, you remember the ice jewel, and look in your bag. It is smaller than earlier, but still intact. Really? Don't tell me there's a use for this ice block, after all. Friends, you declare, I have something for you of such value that once you have it, you must rush straight home with it, or you will be a target for every bandit and villain in these here hills. But it is something beautiful and priceless. Will you take it? The elvins clap their hands and coo like birds as you produce the jewel from your pack. Is it richness? One asks. Is it shine? Oh, it's better than that, you say. And it's best in full sunlight. Take it home and place it under a cloth on a stone to catch the light in the morning, and do not look until midday. The elvin serious nods. Take the jewel, and in moments have flown away. You chuckle to yourself and settle down to finally catch some sleep. Well played. Once again, the crown fills your dreams. Only now, instead of being hidden away in Mampang Fortress, by the Archmage, you see it on the head of the burly villager from Canto Pani. Anyone can wear the crown, he declares to you, but wearing the crown, you are no longer just anyone. And then he points a finger at you that seems to crackle with energy, and you find yourself drawn toward him, commanded to do his bidding. Suddenly, you are surrounded by angry bees. You are walking towards a crack in the ground. It seems sure to swallow you whole. You stumble at its edge, about to fall. And then you wake. Right, we'll press. I think this is a village, so we'll press on until we get there, and then we'll call a close to the session there, I think. The morning air is cool and good for walking. You feel a little stronger than yesterday. 12 stamina now. Still, halfway between sleeping and waking, you feel the presence of your spirit, which is now a gorilla. It's close nearby. Its form has changed since you left Analand, just as you have changed, but it is still walking beside you. In the temple they taught you that a prayer to your spirit could heal disease, lift curses, even save you from certain death. But the spirits are not generous, and decline to help often. You can ask for the spirit's aid using the pray button. So you can pray it you can pray it. You can press it to pray when you're in a time of need. Alright. You awake and set off down the stream once more. After a few hours you come across a rope bridge, strung precariously between two boulders and spanning the river. A path leads away from its other side and runs over a small hill. Cross the bridge or stay on the bank? No. Bit too precarious for me, thank you very much, says Heinrich, and he'll continue up the path there. You continue along the riverside path for several more hours until you reach a wide bend. In its elbow is a cluster of huts made of thatched branches and twigs. It is clearly not unoccupied, as smoke rises from a fire set in a space between the dwellings, but there is not a sound to be heard. Yeah, come on, let's have a nosy. You approach cautiously, creeping between the outlying huts, peering through cracks in the walls, but the place does not appear truly deserted. Yeah, we'll move to the centre. You make your way more boldly now, to the centre of the village where a fire burns. There is a stack of logs nearby. You take a look at the fire. Oh dear. Oh God. You go over to the brazier, but it seems quite ordinary. Then you notice it burns with a gentle blue flame. A moment later, you are feeling dizzy. The fumes from the fire are overpowering you. You fight to keep consciousness, but without success, and everything goes black. Captured. You are tied up on the floor of a hut, and you are not alone. Nearby, you hear the scuffle of many feet. Well, we're already tied up. We're going to look around. You flip open your eyes, taking care to lie still. You see your belongings lying a short distance away in the dirt. Around you patter tiny feet, and a few more feet hover a few inches in the air above the ground. Elvins, oh no. Please don't be the same Elvins that we've just conned. Oh, oh God. We're going to wait. We're at their mercy. In fact, no, we're going to sit up. You sit up trying to rub your head, but of course you can't. Your hands are tightly bound. Seeing you stir, a creature by the door jumps to its feet, then jumps above its feet and hovers in the air, watching you. Wait to see what they... Release me! I am your friend! The guard leans out of the doorway and calls sharply. Soon a small crowd has gathered around you. One of the group, some kind of leader, steps forward. "Traveller," he declares, "we are creatures of pleasure and enjoyment. It is such a great pleasure to have a visitor in our poor hamlet. So I ask now, how will you entertain us?" Ooh. Do you think they'll be impressed by magic? Probably not. Is there a spell we could cast to get us out of this situation? Maybe. I'd have to quickly rifle through my book here. We could sing to them. You reckon Heinrich's a bit of a Casanova? I'm quite tempted to sing. Play our flute? Out of interest, I'm going to say magic. Okay, they're happy. The chief claps his hands with glee. So do the others in the crowd. Excellent! Okay, so now can we perform a spell with our hands tied behind our back? I don't see why not. But we'll ask him first. You just tie my hands? You don't mind, do you? Very good, but I cannot weave a spell with my hands tied. The elven consider this for a moment and quickly decide. One approaches with a knife and holds it close to your face for a few seconds. Then he laughs, rolls you over roughly, and cuts the rope around your wrists. "Now," declares the chief, "entertain us!" Is anybody feeling another jig coming on? "I will show you a spell." The elven chief nods. I'm feeling another jig coming on. Or maybe not. We don't think we've got the option this time. Right, we've got K, D, G, and S. Alright, K, D, G, and S. Let me flick through my book here. See what we've got. So we KDGNS, 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 KD dumb. Okay, so it'll make creatures drop their weapons. KGDNS. DOP, which is the locked door spell. Less useful. Gob, we need goblin teeth. Gum, we need glue. H, doc, we need a potion. Doc, doz. So doz makes creatures really, really slow, which could be good for us to escape. That's the one that's top of my list so far. Dud. Oh, that's a good one. Dud summons an illusion of treasure. Gold pieces, silver coins, gems and jewels can be used to distract or pay off creatures. That is perfect for the situation here. That is absolutely perfect. I don't need to see any further. These things, we've already conned some with a block of ice that they thought was a jewel. They obviously like riches and jewels and things. Dud has got to be perfect here. It's got to be perfect. Illusion of treasure. You cast a spell focusing your mind on a large rock in one corner of the hut. Before their eyes, the elven see this rock turn into a mound of glittering treasure. They gasp with delight, smiling happily and congratulating you. Then one of them ventures over to touch the jewels, and as he does so, you release the spell. A great cheer goes up as the treasure pile disappears. An excellent performance, the chief declares. Thank you. You nod your head. But we have kept you from your road. The chief waits for his tribespeople to clear a route to the door, and the little creatures cheer. You gather up your belongings, and they set you on the path out of the village. Oh, how very kind of them. Well, blow me down, that was a close shave. But why on earth have they let us go when the treasure disappeared? Perhaps they were just happy with the magic trick. Anyway, we have reached the end of today's session. Oh, I'm getting right into this. The first session was a bit of a slow burner, getting used to the mechanics and stuff, but now that we've had the opportunity to cast some spells, got into a couple of spots of bother, yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. What's going to happen next to old Heinrich? Find out next time. Until then, see you soon.